Listen to me, you will waste your entire life if you keep trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Some of you are carrying this heavy weight on your shoulders, always trying to explain yourself, trying to justify your decisions, trying to make them see why you did what you did. But the truth is, there are people in your life who will never celebrate you, never clap for you, never believe in you, no matter what you do. And if you let that become your focus, you are going to burn out fighting battles that were never yours to fight in the first place. You don't have to prove yourself to them. You don't have to get them to understand. The best way to shut down doubt, the best way to silence negativity, the best way to answer criticism is not with words, but with action. See, words are cheap. Anybody can talk. Anybody can argue. Anybody can get loud and go back and forth. But it takes a different level of strength to stay focused while the noise is circling around you. You can't afford to let distractions steal your destiny. Every ounce of energy you waste trying to clap back is energy stolen from your growth, your peace, your purpose. And here's the thing. They want you distracted. They want you arguing, explaining, defending. Because as long as you're focused on them, you can't be focused on you. But the moment you stop explaining, the moment you stop reacting, the moment you redirect that energy into your own life, that's when things start to shift. You've got to understand this. People's opinions don't stop you. Your response to those opinions does. You can't stop the whispers. You can't stop the lies. You can't stop the rumors. But you can decide that they don't get your attention. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them call you names. You don't have to defend what's true. What's real doesn't need a lawyer. It needs time. And when you give yourself the time to grow, when you put your head down and do the work, eventually the results will scream louder than the lies ever could. I need you to start protecting your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't have unlimited fuel. You don't have unlimited strength. Every time you argue with someone who doesn't even matter, every time you try to win over someone who doesn't want to see you win, you're wasting power that could be building your future. You don't have to win them over. You don't have to change their minds. You don't have to sit at their table. Build your own table. Cook your own meal. Eat in peace. And let the very ones who doubted you watch from a distance when your name is called higher than they ever imagined. This is why you've got to stay quiet when they're loud. Stay calm when they're chaotic. Stay focused when they're messy. Because your future is too big to shrink it down just to prove a point. Don't spend your life explaining yourself to people who never even took the time to understand you. Redirect that fire, that passion, that energy into becoming everything they said you couldn't be. That's how you silence the noise. That's how you rise above it all. That's how you shock everyone. Greatness doesn't start when people are clapping for you. It doesn't start when the spotlight is on you. It doesn't start when everybody finally believes in you. Greatness starts in the dark, in the quiet places where nobody sees the work you're putting in. It's the hours when everyone else is asleep and you're still grinding. It's the sacrifices you make when nobody even knows what you're sacrificing for. See, most people only want to shine, but they don't want to do the building. They want the results without the process, the applause without the preparation. But the truth is, the real transformation happens behind closed doors. When you make a decision to focus on yourself, you've got to be okay with being hidden for a season. You've got to be okay with being overlooked, with being underestimated, with being ignored. Because while they're distracted, scrolling, gossiping, waiting for you to fail, you're building. They don't see it, they don't hear it, they don't recognize it. But you're laying brick by brick, discipline by discipline, sacrifice by sacrifice. And when the right moment comes, when the curtain finally pulls back, you won't just show them improvement. You'll show them a version of yourself they won't even recognize. You see, too many people get discouraged because nobody's noticing them. They feel like if they're not getting likes, shares, or validation, then maybe they're not doing enough. But let me tell you something. Validation is a trap. If you need applause to keep going, you're going to quit the moment it goes silent. But if you can learn to build in the dark, if you can learn to be faithful to the process when nobody's looking, if you can learn to love the grind without recognition, then when you finally step out, the shock will be so great they won't even believe it's you. You can't be addicted to attention if you want to grow. You can't need people clapping for you to keep moving forward, because there will be times when nobody claps. There will be times when it feels like you're invisible. There will be times when you're doing everything right, but you're still not getting noticed. That's not the time to stop. That's the time to keep your head down and build. That's the time to double your focus, double your discipline, double your consistency. Because every seed planted in silence will eventually bear fruit in the open. And when the fruit shows up, nobody can deny it. They laughed when you started. They ignored when you were trying. They doubted when you were planning. But when you show up ready, when you show up transformed, when you show up with results that cannot be denied, all they can do is stand there in shock. That's the power of building in silence. That's the power of preparation. That's the power of staying focused when everyone else is distracted. So stop trying to prove yourself prematurely. Stop trying to show them progress every step of the way. Let them think nothing is happening. Let them think you're standing still. Let them believe you gave up. Because the day you finally reveal what you've been working on, they won't just see change. They'll see a completely different you. And that's when you shock everyone. Talent will get you noticed, but discipline will keep you there. Some of you are waiting on motivation, waiting on the perfect moment, waiting to feel like doing it. But success doesn't come to people who wait on feelings. It comes to people who move with discipline. Discipline means you do it when you don't feel like it. Discipline means you keep going when the excitement has faded. Discipline means you choose the future over the moment, the vision over the distraction, the destiny over the detour. Everybody wants the rewards, but very few want the responsibility that comes with the daily grind. You can dream all day long, but if you don't put the work in consistently, those dreams will stay in your head. Dreams require discipline. Success requires sacrifice. Growth requires consistency. You can't just show up when it's convenient. You've got to show up when it's hard. You've got to show up when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when nobody's watching, when nobody's applauding. That's where the real breakthrough happens. In the hidden, disciplined choices that nobody sees but everybody will feel later. You see, distractions are everywhere. The moment you decide to focus on yourself, distractions will come knocking. People will call, opportunities will tempt you, shortcuts will look attractive. But every distraction you give into is a withdrawal from your destiny. Every time you waste an hour on things that don't matter, you're delaying the moment you could shock everyone with your transformation. Discipline isn't about saying yes. It's about learning to say no. No to the things that drain you. No to the people who don't push you. No to the habits that keep you stuck. Because when you start saying no to the wrong things, you make room to say yes to the right things. Some of you have talent, but talent without discipline is wasted potential. You can have the gift, you can have the skill, you can have the brilliance. But if you can't discipline yourself, you'll keep circling the same mountain year after year. It's not that you're not capable. It's that you haven't trained yourself to stay focused long enough to see the results. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you're trying to go. Without it, your dream will collapse under the weight of inconsistency. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not flashy. It doesn't feel good most of the time. But that's the point. Discipline stretches you. It breaks you out of comfort. It teaches you to master yourself before you master the world. And when you finally show the results of that discipline, people won't even recognize the version of you standing in front of them. They'll wonder how you did it, and the answer will be simple. You chose discipline over distraction. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for someone to push you. Stop waiting for applause. Make a decision right now that you're going to be disciplined enough to finish what you started, disciplined enough to sacrifice what's convenient for what's permanent, disciplined enough to stay locked in until you shock everyone who doubted you. The reason so many people underestimate you is because they're judging you by where you are right now. They look at your current situation, your current struggles, your current limitations, and they think they've got you figured out. They think the chapter they walked in on is the whole story. But what they don't realize is that you are not finished. You are not stuck. You are not bound to stay where you are. You are evolving. You are growing. You are building. And every day you focus on yourself, you are outgrowing the picture they painted of you. People only know the version of you they've been exposed to, but they don't know the version you're becoming. They don't see the late nights you're studying, the early mornings you're grinding, the discipline you're practicing, the sacrifices you're making. They don't see the tears you've cried, the prayers you've whispered, the battles you've fought in silence. They think you're the same, but you've already shifted. You've already leveled up on the inside, and sooner or later, the outside is going to have no choice but to catch up. That's why you can't waste time trying to convince them. Don't waste time trying to get them to see what you see, because they can't. They don't have the vision for your life. They don't have the capacity to understand your calling. They don't have the eyes to recognize the seeds that are still underground. All they see is the dirt. But when the harvest shows up, when the growth can't be denied, when the fruit is hanging heavy on the branches, even the ones who never believed will have to admit that you've outgrown their expectations. And here's the beautiful part. When you focus on yourself, the growth is not just external. It's not just about money, success, or achievements. It's about your mind getting sharper, your heart getting stronger, your spirit getting deeper. It's about outgrowing old habits, old environments, old conversations that no longer serve where you're headed. It's about outgrowing the insecurities that once held you hostage. It's about outgrowing the fears that used to paralyze you. Growth is not always loud, but it is undeniable. So don't be surprised when people who used to know you look confused. Don't be surprised when they say, "You've changed." You're supposed to change. You're supposed to evolve. You're supposed to grow into someone they can't even recognize anymore. And that's not arrogance. That's transformation. That's the result of staying focused on yourself long enough that you break free from the box they tried to keep you in. Because when you outgrow their expectations, you prove that their limits don't define you. You prove that their doubts don't dictate your destiny. You prove that their opinion of you was never the final word. Every step you take forward, every level you rise to, every new standard you set is a reminder that you didn't stay where they left you. You refuse to shrink. You refuse to settle. You refuse to be trapped in their version of your story. And by the time they come back to check on you, they won't even recognize who you are anymore. That's the power of focus. That's the power of growth. That's the power of outgrowing every expectation they placed on you. That's how you shock everyone. There is a power in silence that most people don't understand. The natural reaction when somebody disrespects you, when somebody doubts you, when somebody talks about you, is to fight back, to defend yourself, to prove your point. But the truth is, every time you fight battles that don't matter, you're giving your strength to people who don't deserve it. You don't have to answer every insult. You don't have to respond to every rumor. You don't have to waste your breath explaining yourself to people who are already committed to misunderstanding you. Sometimes the greatest clap back is no clap at all, because silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Silence tells them, I don't have to argue with you, I'll show you. Silence tells them, I won't get pulled into your chaos, I'll let my results speak. Silence tells them, I am so focused on where I'm going, I don't even have the time to address where I've been. And what happens is, the very people who thought you were going to lose sleep, trying to prove yourself, are the same ones who will lose sleep, trying to figure out how you did it. Revenge is a waste of energy. Trying to get even only keeps you tied to people you should have left behind. You don't need revenge when your success will make the noise for you. You don't need to defend yourself when your transformation will silence every lie. You don't need to fight battles when your growth will outshine every attack. The best response you can ever give is to keep working, keep rising, keep moving forward until your life itself becomes undeniable evidence of who you are. The reason silence works so powerfully is because it shifts your energy from fighting people to building yourself. And let me tell you, every time you try to clap back, you're distracted, you're off your assignment, you're wasting momentum. But when you refuse to engage, when you refuse to lower yourself, when you refuse to be baited into small fights, you stay locked into the bigger picture. You stay aligned with your purpose. You stay on track to shock everyone who thought you couldn't do it. And here's the truth. People expect you to get emotional. They expect you to react. They expect you to fight back because that keeps the spotlight on the conflict. But when you stay silent, when you don't give them the reaction they're looking for, you rob them of their power. You turn the spotlight back on your own growth. You remind them that your destiny doesn't require their validation. And that's when your silence becomes the loudest statement you could ever make. So stop trying to win small battles that don't even matter in the long run. Stop wasting your fire proving yourself to people who will never clap for you. Let your discipline be your defense. Let your results be your response. Let your success be the answer to every doubt, every rumor, every lie. Because when it's all said and done, silence will echo louder than words ever could. The ultimate power move in life is not trying to prove anything to anyone. It's becoming everything they said you couldn't be. You don't need to chase after people. You don't need to beg them to see your worth. You don't need to broadcast every little step you're taking. Just focus on yourself until the transformation is so undeniable that it speaks louder than anything you could have ever said. That's when the shock comes, not because you announced it, but because you became it. See, when you truly lock in on yourself, you start to notice that your life doesn't need a press release. You don't need to tell people you've changed. They'll see it in how you carry yourself. You don't need to brag about the work you're putting in. They'll see it in the results you produce. You don't need to argue about your growth. They'll hear it in the strength of your silence. Because transformation is its own announcement. You can't hide it. You can't cover it. And when it finally shows, it leaves people stunned. And the reason it shocks them so much is because they were betting against you. They had already written you off. They had already decided who you were going to be. and where your life was going to end up. Some of them even got comfortable with the thought that you'd never rise, that you'd never change, that you'd never break out of that cycle. But when you focus on yourself, when you put in the work day after day, when you push through the pain and stay consistent, you begin to outgrow the very image they had of you. By the time they see you again, you're no longer the person they left. You're unrecognizable. This is why transformation is the most powerful response you can ever give. People expect the same old version of you. They expect the one who was insecure, the one who was weak, the one who was unfocused, the one who was distracted. But when you show up stronger, wiser, calmer, more disciplined, more focused, more powerful than they ever imagined, it throws them off balance. They don't know how to handle the new you. They don't know what to say when the very thing they swore would break you became the thing that built you. And listen, transformation is not just about external success. It's not just about money, houses, or titles. The real shock is when you change from the inside out, when you no longer react the way you used to, when you no longer settle for what you used to, when you no longer allow yourself to be pulled into the same cycles. When your peace is stronger, your confidence is louder, your vision is clearer. That's the kind of transformation that shakes people to their core. Because it proves you didn't just survive, you leveled up. You didn't just make it through, you became someone new in the process. So stop chasing recognition. Stop trying to convince anyone of your worth. Stop lowering yourself to explain what they were never meant to understand. Just focus on becoming. Because when you do, when you truly transform, you won't need to say a word. Your life will preach the message, your results will speak the testimony, and your growth will leave them speechless. That's how you shock everyone.